What if the secret to unlimited manifestation has been hidden in plain sight for thousands of years? We're talking about a formula so powerful, it's literally encoded in the very first book of the Bible, the profound declaration I am. This isn't just ancient scripture, it's a practical blueprint for shaping your reality, transcending limitations, and unlocking abundance. Now, I want to talk to you straight, the way the old teachers did. No fluff, just the real raw stuff. You ever feel like you're walking around with $1 billion check in your pocket, but you forgot the PIN? Like the code to the whole vault is your own breath, your own I am, and you just forgot. That's what we're cracking open today. We're going all the way back to the Genesis blueprint, not as some dusty old story, but as the ultimate hacker's manual for your reality. We're decoding I am. Genesis's ancient formula for unlimited manifestation. See, Moses wasn't just some guy with a beard and a staff. He was a spiritual OG who tried to lay it out plain. I am that I am. That's the seed. That's the source code. Every single thing you see, every struggle, every blessing, every dream sitting in your heart is just a printout from that one profound statement your soul is whispering every second. But here's the kicker. What if you've been saying, I am on autopilot, tagging it with fear, with lack, with not enough? You got to catch that. That's the worship of false idols right now in your own head. So here's the deal. We're going to break down how this ancient tech works, how to plug your awareness directly into the source so your I am doesn't describe your limits, it dissolves them. But I'm going to need you to roll with me on this. It's going to get deep, and I'll tell you this much by the end. The key isn't out there. It's in the silence after you say those two words. So if this hits, if you're ready to remember your own code, then do me a solid like this video, or drop a 777 in the comments if you're claiming your infinite nature and subscribe, because next time, we're talking about how to apply this voltage when your whole world seems to be shouting no. Let's get into it. Because next time, we're talking about how to apply this voltage when your whole world seems to be shouting no. Let's get into it. Right now, I want you to think about your phone. You tap the screen, you swipe, you type, it responds. But that glass and metal ain't doing a thing by itself. It's the operating system, the invisible code, that makes it all work. That slick interface is how you, the user, command the whole machine. Now, get this picture in your spirit. Fesser I am is your divine interface. It is not just two words you say about yourself. It is the sacred, built-in command line, the direct point of contact between the limited you, the human, the personality with a history and a bunch of problems, and the unlimited, the infinite, the divine operating system that runs this entire universe. Think about how you use that phrase all day, every day, completely unconscious. I am broke. I am stuck. I am worried. You're just tapping on that interface, inputting commands, and then wondering why your reality looks so glitchy. You're installing malware directly into your own soul. But the prophets, the mystics, they knew this tech. They understood that I am is the holy of holies within your own consciousness. It's the alpha, the starting point. Before any action, before any circumstance, there is this declaration of being. Genesis lays it out in the deep symbolic code, in the beginning God. But the name of that God, revealed to Moses, is the key. Not a title, not a noun, a verb of being. I am, that's the root identity. So when you say I am, you are not just describing a temporary condition. You are, in that moment, plugging into the ultimate source and slapping a label on it. You are naming God. You are defining the infinite with your finite idea. That's why this is so serious. It's not positive thinking. It's architectural. Every time you utter I am, you are laying the cornerstone of a temple or a prison cell. You are the programmer. The interface doesn't argue. It doesn't judge whether your command is good or bad. It just accepts the input and executes. So if your I am is consistently followed by limitation, sickness, and lack, the system generates that experience for you faithfully, relentlessly. It's giving you exactly what you've identified as your truth. You're walking around saying, I am this body, I am this bank account, I am this past mistake, and then you're shocked when you feel trapped in a material, limited world. You've used the interface to log into a guest profile with no administrative privileges. But the radical promise, the ancient hack, is this: you can consciously use that same interface to log into your true identity. When you pull back from the noise, from the old story, and you declare from a place of silent knowing, I am that I am, you are not adding a condition. You are stating pure existence. You are accessing the admin rights to the whole of creation. In that declaration, you are not a body needing healing. You are the wholeness expressing as a body. You are not a person seeking abundance. You are the very substance of abundance taking form. The interface is flawless. It's always on, always listening. The work isn't to build a new one. The work is to become conscious, utterly reverent of the one you've always had, to stop letting the world and your old thoughts type on your keyboard, to take sacred authority over the two most powerful words you will ever speak, knowing they go straight to the heart of the infinite and shape the clay of your tomorrow. So the work is to become conscious, utterly reverent of the interface you've always had, to take sacred authority over those two words. But maybe you're sitting there thinking, that sounds powerful, but come on, it sounds a little out there. How do I know this I am is really connected to something real, and not just my own imagination? That's a fair question, and the blueprint gives us a perfect, blazing example. This brings us to the desert, to a man named Moses, who felt as stuck and as far from his purpose as anybody here. A fugitive tending sheep, thinking his best days were behind him. And then he sees it, a bush on fire, but not being consumed. It's burning, but it's not burning up. He has to turn aside and look. And this family, this is the moment. His Moses' burning bush was a system alert. It wasn't just a miracle for the sake of a light show. It was a direct, divine notification, popping up on the screen of his perception, designed to do one thing: shatter his entire understanding of reality and force a consciousness update. See, Moses was operating under the old limited software. He saw himself as a failed prince, a shepherd, a man with a stutter, defined by his past and his perceived flaws. He was logged into the guest profile. The burning bush was the universe's way of cutting through that noise with an undeniable signal. It was a living paradox. Everything in his human, conditioned mind knew the rule: fire consumes fuel. That's the law of the material world. But here was a violation of that very law, happening right before his eyes. It was creation saying, the rules you think are absolute, they are not the final authority. There is a substance and a life that operates on a different frequency entirely. A frequency where energy is not depleted, where life is not consumed, where spirit maintains its form without being destroyed by it. And it was only when Moses turned aside, when he stopped his daily routine and gave his full, focused attention to this anomaly, that the voice spoke. The notification could only be received when he actively chose to look. And what was the message of this system alert? Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. Now, that's not about dirt. That's about consciousness. The sandals are your human insulation, your worldly protections, your thick, calloused ways of thinking that separate you from the subtle, electric current of the divine. The ground is holy because wherever you are, when you have this awakening, when you witness the fire that doesn't destroy, that is the point of contact. The bush wasn't holy, the seeing was holy. The alert was waking him up to the truth that the very ground of his being, right in the middle of his failure and his fugitive state, was infused with the infinite. It was a demonstration that the divine doesn't exist in some far-off heaven What erupts right here in the ordinary scrubland of your everyday life when you are ready to truly see. And then comes the ultimate download. The voice from the bush reveals its identity. I am Tad I am. This is the source code behind the visual alert. The fire that doesn't consume is the Zever's effect. The I am is the cause. The burning bush was the graphic user interface, but the I am was the command line. It was showing Moses, and it's showing us, that the power we are seeking, the unconsumable energy, the limitless life, is not a force we pray to. It is the very essence of our own I am. The bush was his I am, made visible, alive with a fiery, intelligent presence, yet not defined or destroyed by its own form. The alert was for him to realize that the same fire, the same unconsumable, eternal substance, was the core of his own being. His shepherd's staff, his stutter, his past, they were just the bush. The I am within him was the eternal fire. And once that alert is acknowledged, once you take off the sandals of your old thinking, you can never go back to just tending sheep. You are now in contact with the commanding presence, and your only job is to listen for the instructions that come from that flame. And once that alert is acknowledged, once you take off the sandals of your old thinking and stand barefoot on the holy ground of your own consciousness, you are in contact. The flame is recognized, but then what? You've got to communicate back. You've got to use the interface. And this is where most of us slip up big time. We think our words are just talk, casual chatter. We throw them around like they're nothing, like they have no weight. We complain, we gossip, we affirm our fears out loud to anyone who will listen. But in this spiritual tech, there is no such thing as an idle word. Your mouth isn't just moving air, it's a generator. Oh, your words are incantations, not just talk. Every single time you speak, you are not describing reality, you are casting a spell over it, weaving the fabric of your next moment with the threads of your own declarations. Let's break that down, because it sounds wild, but it's the most practical thing you'll ever hear. An incantation, in the old magical sense, is a formula of words spoken with the intention of causing a change. It's a command to the unseen forces. Now, strip away the Hollywood hocus-pocus and look at the principle. You are, right now, a field of conscious energy. The universe is responsive, intelligent energy, and your spoken word, charged with the conviction of your I am, is the signal you broadcast into that field. It's not the syllables themselves. It's the belief, the feeling, the assumption of truth that you fuse into those syllables that gives them their power. When you say, I am so broke, with the deep, sighing conviction of your whole being, that is an incantation. You have just ritualistically affirmed lack. You have summoned the experience of limitation into your sphere. You've done a whole ceremony, right there at the kitchen table or in your car. Conversely, when you catch yourself and, from that place of silent, knowing you found at the burning bush, you declare, I am the open channel for infinite supply, and you feel it, you rest into it as a present fact, that, too, is an incantation. You have just commanded the substance of the universe to rearrange itself, according to that truth. This is why the ancient wisdom traditions are so fierce about guarding your speech. It's not about politeness. It's about spiritual physics. You are literally programming your reality with your vocabulary. Think of your I am as the sacred key, and your following words are the specific address you are sending the power to. I am opens the connection. Broke, sick, alone, afraid. You've just sent a massive surge of creative power to fortify a slum, to build a hospital for your ailments, to construct a prison of loneliness. You're building a world with your tongue. Proverbs said it plain. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. That ain't a metaphor. That's a technical manual. Most of us are running negative incantations on autopilot all day long. We're like sorcerers' apprentices who've forgotten the magic is real, waving the broom around and then drowning in the consequences. Well, my job is killing me? This pain is never going away. People always let me down. These are not observations. These are sacred spells, spoken in the temple of your consciousness, and the universe, that faithful servant, says, "What your wish is my command." It gets to work to make sure your experience matches the truth you have so powerfully decreed. So the practice, the real work, is to become the conscious sorcerer, to take back the wand of your own speech. Before you speak, especially about yourself, you have to pause and ask, what world am I casting a spell to create right now? What am I inviting into my experience with this decree? You must learn to speak from the desired state, not about the undesirable one. You don't talk ours about the lack of money, you speak words that assume the feeling of abundance now. You don't incant sickness, you speak the wholeness of spirit as your present body. This turns your everyday conversation into a sacred liturgy. Your small talk becomes a subtle act of creation. Because once you know the I am is your direct line, you realize every word that follows it is an order placed with the infinite. Because once you know the I am is your direct line, you realize every word that follows it is an order placed with the infinite. But here's where the rubber meets the road, where folks get tripped up and start calling this whole thing a fantasy. They'll say, "Okay, I've been trying this. I've been saying my good words, my positive incantations. But my bank account still looks the same. My body still feels the same. The world out there hasn't shifted an inch." And that's because we've got the whole process backwards. We're looking for the outside world to move first, to validate our words, to give us a sign. We're trying to manifest out there. But that's like a broadcaster staring at the radio, waiting for it to tell him what to say. The power is in the transmission, not the receiver. This is the cosmic law we've got to get straight. This manifestation is an inside-out broadcast. Think of your conscious awareness, your I am space, as a broadcasting tower. It's always transmitting a signal, a frequency of thought, of feeling, of conviction. Now, the material world, everything you can see and touch, is not the solid, fixed thing it pretends to be. On the deepest level, it's just energy, vibration, information, and it is infinitely responsive. It's like a fluid, a plasma, that arranges itself to match the dominant signal it receives. Your physical reality is the ES printout. It's the end product. It's the show playing on the television screen. But you're not the viewer, you're the producer in the control room, deciding what show gets aired. When you walk around focused on what's on the screen, the lack, the problem, the obstacle, and you react to it with fear or anger, you are just feeding that same old show back into the broadcast. You're creating a feedback loop of the same stale programming. You're begging the universe for a new reality while your transmitter is still stuck on the frequency of the old one. True manifestation isn't about wrestling with the external forms. It's about changing the broadcast from the control room before you see any evidence on the screen. It's about cultivating the inner feeling of the wish fulfilled so completely that it becomes your new normal signal. It's moving from "I'm wanting" to "where's being." You don't broadcast a plea, you broadcast a fact. If your desire is perfect health, you don't sit in the feeling of sickness and beg for health. You shift your inner stance now. You tune your broadcast to the quiet, unshakable feeling of wholeness, of vitality, of energy flowing freely. You live inside yourself as if that is already your present truth. You feel the gratitude for it is now. You see, the universe doesn't respond to your words or your wants. It responds to your state. Your state of being is your broadcast frequency. When your inner feeling state and your declared I am are in perfect harmony, when you feel abundant while saying I am abundance, that's a clear, strong, coherent signal. The responsive substance of creation has no choice but to crystallize that signal into form, to mirror that inner condition in your outer condition. This is the inside-out part. The healing doesn't come to you. It emerges from you, from that felt sense of wholeness and expresses as the changed body. The abundance doesn't fall from the sky. It organizes itself from the invisible around the magnetic core of your inner feeling of wealth. You are not a beggar at the universe's door. You are the source, the broadcaster, the cause. The manifestation you're waiting for is just the time lag it takes for the invisible, fluid reality to solidify into the visible patterns that match your new or dominant signal. So you have to stop looking there for proof. Proof is for the doubting mind. Your job is to stay faithful to the broadcast, to guard your inner feeling more fiercely than you guard your bank account. To know, with a certainty that transcends all sensory evidence, that if you are broadcasting the right signal from the control room of your I am, the screen must, by divine law, change to reflect it. The world has no other option. The world has no other option but to reflect your broadcast. But here's the catch, and it's the one that snags almost everybody. You can't broadcast a new signal on top of the old story's static. You can't whisper, I am wealthy, while your inner monologue is screaming the detailed testimony of every bill, every debt, every past failure. That's just adding a nice sounding word to a toxic soup. It gets drowned out by the louder, more familiar frequency. This is the critical work of spiritual hygiene, the non-negotiable maintenance of your soul's atmosphere. Stop tagging I am with your old story. Your I am is pure, limitless, undefined being. It is the blank canvas, the fresh page, the unformatted drive. Every time you follow it with a condition from your past or a fear about your future, you are not making a statement. You are placing a limit. You are taking the infinite and slapping a finite label on it. You are defining God, and you are doing it with the dusty, worn-out files from your personal history. Think of it like this: your I am is a pristine, high-voltage electrical line. It's pure potential power. What your old story? The I'm not good enough? The this always happens to me? The because of what happened when I was a kid? That's a bunch of old, frayed, low-wattage appliance cords you've tied directly to that high-voltage line. The result? The whole system shorts out. You get sparks, smoke, and blown fuses. You're trying to run the majestic power of creation through the weak wiring of your past disappointments. No wonder things aren't lighting up! The old story is a narrative you've constructed, a collection of interpreted events hardened into a belief system. It's not truth. It's Av's story. And when you tag I am with it, you make that story the author of your present and the architect of your future. You're saying the creator's name is I am a victim, or I am someone who never gets a break. This is the essence of idolatry, right here in your own mind. You're worshipping the image of your past, bowing down to the false god of your previous conditions, and wondering why you're not free. You have to become a ruthless editor of your own internal dialogue. You have to catch yourself in the act. When you feel yourself about to say, even in your head, I am so stressed because of my job, you have to interrupt that download. That's the old program trying to run. You don't argue with it. You don't fight it. You simply recognize it as old data, and you consciously choose a different tag. You return to the pure I am. You sit in the silence of just being, before any story attaches itself. From that neutral, powerful space, you can then consciously apply a tag that aligns with your true nature. I am the very peace that surpasses this situation. You are not denying the outer appearance of the job. You are denying its right to define your fundamental being. You are pulling the plug on the old appliance cord and letting the high-voltage line shine clean and clear. This takes relentless vigilance. It means when the memory of a past hurt arises, you don't feed it by thinking, I am the person who was wounded by that. You feel the feeling, you acknowledge it, but then you consciously place it outside of your I am. You declare, I am not that story. I am the wholeness that observes that memory. You are reclaiming your identity from the clutches of history. You are doing what the mystics called dying daily, dying to the old self, the narrated self, the limited self defined by yesterday. Every moment you refuse to tag your I am with the old story, you are withdrawing your worship from the false idol and returning it to the infinite. You are clearing the static, and in that clear space with the line carrying nothing but pure, untagged being, the new signal, the broadcast of your desired state, can travel with maximum power, unobstructed, straight into the heart of creative substance, commanding a new world into form. You are clearing the static, withdrawing worship from the false idols of your past. And in that clear space, with your AM carrying nothing but pure, untagged being, the new signal travels unobstructed. But even then, you might hit a wall of silence. You've done the work. You've cleaned up your speech. You're guarding your inner feeling. You've dropped the old story. You're broadcasting a clear signal. And then, nothing. Or so it seems. You're standing there in the quiet, maybe feeling a little foolish, waiting for the boom, the flash, the sign. This, right here, is the most misunderstood part of the entire process. We think the power is in the noise, in the effort, in the constant repetition of the words. But the deepest magic happens in the pause. The ultimate creative act isn't the shouting, it's the listening that follows. The silence after the words is the power source. Think about it. You've issued your command into the universe with your conscious, I am, declaration. You've placed your order with the infinite. Now, what does any competent being do after giving a clear instruction? They release it. They trust it to be carried out. They don't keep grabbing at the servant, re-explaining, fretting over the how. That re-grabbing is just doubt in disguise. It's taking the power back from the universe and placing it back onto your own limited shoulders. The silence after you speak your word is the space of that release. It's the amen. So be it, it is done. In that silence you are not passive. You are in a state of supreme, active faith. You are knowing. You are abiding in the felt reality that your word, because it was aligned with the pure, I am, is already law in the invisible realm. That silence is the womb where the invisible takes form. This is why all the great spiritual practices lead you back to stillness, to meditation, to the secret place. It's not to escape the world. It's to tap into the voltage. Your words, even your highest thoughts, are still vibrations in the realm of mind. They are the final ripples on the surface. But the silence beneath them, that is the ocean itself. When you sink into the silence, after declaring, I am whole, I am free, I am abundant, you are no longer dealing with the concept of wholeness. You are plunging into the very substance of wholeness. You are moving from the menu description of the feast to actually sitting at the table. In that deep quiet, you are being recharged by the source, not just talking about it. You are switching from being the broadcaster to being the receiving tower, open and allowing the confirmation of what you've declared to flow into your awareness as peace, as certainty, as a quiet joy that needs no outer proof. This silence is where the real alchemy happens. It's the generative void. Your conscious declaration sets the mold, gives the instruction. But the power that fills that mold, that executes the instruction, comes from the infinite, not from your personal will. Your job is to get your conscious mind, with all its doubts and its need to control the how, out of the way. The silence is how you step aside. It's the ultimate act of trust. It's you saying, I have called, I know you have heard. Now I rest in the knowing that it is already accomplished on the level of cause. You are allowing the creative principle to work without your micromanagement. In that sacred silence, the spiritual substance, the clay of manifestation, is shaped by the dye of your word. The healing, the solution, the supply, the new beginning, they are all being formulated in the invisible, in the quietness behind the scenes. Your peace in that silence is the greatest evidence of your faith. It is the proof that you are no longer identified with the problem. but are abiding in the solution as a present spiritual fact. So when you feel the urge to say it again, to fret, to look for signs, stop. Instead, go deeper into the silence that followed your last clear knowing. For in that stillness, the machinery of heaven is at its most active, and your own I am is simply at rest within the great I am, allowing the fulfillment to emerge in its own perfect timing and form.